Imagine you're a regular person on a sticky Memphis night, the kind where the air feels like warm velvet and the city hums under neon. You wander through a sea of chrome and glass at a Cadillac dealership, letting your mind drift where your bank account can't. Then a voice behind you, low, unmistakable, says, "Like my car." You turn and the world tilts. It's not a salesman, it's not a prank, it's Elvis Presley. On a warm July evening in 1975, bank teller Mennie Person was window shopping at Madison Cadillac in Memphis, Tennessee. She'd paused in front of a shimmering, custom-made limousine, plush leather, gold accents, the kind of car that looks like it commands a trumpet fanfare every time the door opens. She's admiring it, half dreaming, when that voice hits the air. "Like my car." The king himself is right there, dressed down, blending into a place you'd never expect to see a global icon. Not a stadium, not a stage, a dealership. Under the dealership lights, the Cadillacs gleamed like a fleet of silver ships ready to sail. Salesmen moved like shadows. The parking lot radiated heat. And in the middle of it, an ordinary woman and the world's biggest rock star shared a moment so improbable it sounds like folklore. But it's real. And what happens next is the part that made it legend. Here's the hook, because it's the only question that matters. Why did he do it? Why would the most famous entertainer on earth buy a brand new Cadillac for a stranger he just met? Not a fan in a signing line, not a VIP, a woman who happened to be there in that exact second, admiring a car that wasn't hers. This is not a story about horsepower or paint jobs. It's a story about a heartbeat, about a man who came from nothing and never forgot how it felt to want something you couldn't reach. It's about wealth as a verb, not a noun, something you do, not something you hoard. And it's about a singular moment where fame, fortune, and pure human impulse collided in the most American setting imaginable, a Cadillac lot in Memphis. We'll walk you into that night. We'll slow everything down, then let it play in real time. The look on Mennie's face, the grin on Elvis's, the split-second decision that turned a fantasy into keys in a hand. Then we'll zoom out. Because what happened at Madison Cadillac wasn't an isolated spark. It was part of a pattern, a streak of generosity so wide and wild it still glows decades later. By the end, you'll see the scene as more than a cute anecdote. You'll see a window into the mind of a complicated man who built a myth in rhinestones and rhythm, and then kept adding to it with small electric acts of kindness. The music made him a star. But moments like this, they made him a legend people love. So, come stand with us under those bright dealership lights, hear the cicadas, smell the hot asphalt, watch the king of rock and roll lean in with that soft drawl and a twinkle that says he's about to rewrite somebody's life, and keep asking the question that turns this from a story into a revelation. Why did he do it? Because between a showroom and a stage, between a stranger and a superstar, there's a thin line where generosity becomes history. On July 27, 1975, Elvis Presley walked that line and then drove it right off the lot. The date is precise, July 27, 1975. The place, Madison Cadillac in Memphis, Tennessee. Early evening, the humidity settling over the parking lot like a heavy curtain. Mennie Person, a bank teller, lingers near a car that doesn't belong in anyone's maybe someday category. It's Elvis's personal, custom-made Cadillac, a limousine with the glow of a spotlight and the hush of a cathedral. She's not touching it, she wouldn't dare, but her eyes keep returning to the gleam. Then the moment. He steps close enough for his voice to be intimate, almost conspiratorial. "Like my car?" She turns. Elvis Presley is right there, alive, human, smiling. In any other story, this is where reality snaps back. You ask for a photo, maybe an autograph. You tell your friends. But this story keeps going. They talk. Not for long. Sometimes the shortest conversations are the ones that change the most. Elvis reads the room. No crowd, no fanfare, just a woman genuinely moved by the beauty of a thing she can't have. His face softens. The decision comes fast, like a chord he's played so many times he doesn't have to think about it. He nods toward the lot and says what might be the most Elvis sentence ever spoken. "That one's mine, but I'll buy you one." Read that again. Not a discount, not a promise, not a note for the manager. "I'll buy you one." He caught me by the arm and carried me back to the parking lot where he had come from and told me to pick one out. Mennie would later say. She's stunned but moving, quietly pulled by the gravity of a man who treats generosity like oxygen. The sales staff looks on with the particular expression of people who know they're witnessing a story that will outlive them. Cadillacs line the asphalt like choices in a dream. Mennie walks past colors and trims until she stops. A gold and white 1975 Cadillac Eldorado. Not subtle, not apologetic. Joy on wheels. The price tag hovers around $1,100. Real money in 1975. Life-tilting money for a bank teller. Elvis nods. Decision made. But there's an extra wrinkle, the kind that turns a great story into a perfect one. Elvis learns it's her birthday week. He doesn't just buy the car. He adds an exclamation point you can't put on a sales agreement. He gives her a check, amount undisclosed, to buy clothes to match her new ride. It's not just transportation anymore, it's a transformation. He's not selling a dream, he's outfitting it. There's a final, almost shy exchange. Mennie mentions she already owns a Cadillac. Maybe she feels awkward. Maybe she thinks the right thing is to decline. Elvis waves it off with a gentle insistence. The gift is the point. The joy is the point. He told me to keep it. He told me to give it to my husband or whatever we wanted to do. No strings, no PR team, no cameras, just a man with the means and the impulse to turn admiration into ownership. Keys change hands. Paperwork shuffles in the background like a muted drum roll. Somewhere, an engine purrs to life. The lights make everything look a little unreal, and maybe that's fitting, because the truth of this moment lives where unlikely things happen. A woman came to a lot to look. She left with a story people would tell for half a century, and a gold and white Eldorado to prove it. If you freeze the frame right there, Elvis's hand extended, Mennie's disbelief curving into a smile, you can almost hear the lesson humming under the scene. Fame is loud, generosity is quiet. But when they meet, the sound carries forever. To understand why the Madison Cadillac moment matters, you have to zoom out. Elvis didn't invent generosity that night. He was already fluent in it. The Eldorado was not an outlier. It was part of a constellation. Let's start at the beginning, long before Graceland, when fame was a horizon and not a home address. In 1955, when success was still fragile, Elvis bought a pink Cadillac for his mother, Gladys. She didn't even have a driver's license. That detail is important. The gift wasn't about utility. It was about love made visible, gratitude in chrome and paint. It said, "Look what we did, and look what I can give back." And we made it, all at once. As the years rolled, so did the gifts. Friends, associates, people in his daily orbit. Elvis would find them and hand them a set of keys. Doctors, dentists, jewelers. He didn't restrict generosity to holidays or headlines. It was woven into the fabric of how he moved through the world. Mary Jenkins, the maid who cooked for him and cared for his home, received 6 cars over 14 years. That's not a publicity stunt. That's a relationship expressed over time. Then there are the big flashy chapters, the ones that sound like tall tales until you hear how often they happened. On the same day he met Mennie Person, he reportedly bought 14 Cadillacs, dropping around $140,000 to give them away. Picture that. Not one life turned on a dime, but an entire cluster of lives jolted into a different gear. It's the philanthropic equivalent of handing out encores. And the stories keep stacking. A Memphis dealership allegedly presented him with a plaque naming him the world's best car buyer, engraved with the names of 31 people he'd bought cars for from that dealership alone. Is every detail perfectly documented? Maybe not. But even the rumors point to something true. Elvis bought cars like other people buy flowers because it felt good to give them. If you're tempted to chalk it up to celebrity excess, pause. This wasn't mindless spending. It had a shape. Elvis's gifts often radiated outward from moments of connection. Someone admired a car, someone served his family, someone stood by him. The pattern is personal, not performative. He didn't need a spotlight to turn the key. Why Cadillacs? Because in mid-century America, a Cadillac wasn't just a vehicle. It was a symbol. It meant escape velocity from scarcity. It meant dignity, status, comfort, possibility. Elvis knew what it felt like to have none of those things. So he gave them away in a form you could park in your driveway and see every morning. When you collect these stories, a picture emerges. Generosity as instinct, not strategy. Whether fact or folklore, whether 6 cars or 16, the current runs in the same direction. Elvis didn't just have money, he had a memory of wanting. And when he met people at the intersection of want and wonder, like many on that July night, he reached for the ignition. That's why the Madison Cadillac scene resonates far beyond a single Eldorado. It's a microcosm of a man who turned abundance into action, not speeches, not slogans, motions. Sign here, pick one out, take the keys, go live a little louder. So why did he do it? Strip away the sparkle for a second. Forget the legend long enough to see the person. 3 threads run through the tapestry of Elvis's generosity: empathy, origin, and joy. First, spontaneous empathy. The Mennie Person story is empathy in motion. He sees a stranger arrested by beauty, eyes locked, shoulders tilted forward, a tiny private ache blooming into a smile, and he moves. No deliberation, no committee, just an impulse to share what he already enjoys. Spontaneity is the soul of the gesture. He doesn't offer a test drive. He offers ownership. It's radical, it's simple, it's human. Second, a connection to roots. Elvis grew up poor, hard-edge poor, the kind where dreams are luxuries and stability is the goal. For a boy from Tupelo, a Cadillac wasn't merely a car, it was a ticket out. When you've tasted the distance between not enough and more than enough, you never forget the flavor. Each gift carries an echo. I remember wanting, I remember reaching. Take this shortcut I didn't have. That mental map never leaves you. Third, the joy of giving. Many accounts suggest Elvis got a genuine rush from the act itself. Watch how he frames the gift to Mennie, not as an obligation, not as a cumbersome favor. He told me to keep it. He told me to give it to my husband or whatever we wanted to do. That's not control. That's release. He hands over both the car and the choice. The thrill for him isn't in being thanked. It's in witnessing the spark when someone realizes their life just widened. Of course, we can add layers. Fame can isolate. Lavish gifts can build bridges where conversation fails. When the world takes, giving can feel like reclaiming agency. And in a culture where worth is measured in spectacle, generosity can be its own kind of show, one that points outward instead of inward. But to over-psychologize is to miss the temperature of the moment. The Madison Cadillac scene doesn't feel calculated. It feels like a reflex born of habit and heart. There's also the American myth to consider. Cadillac is aspiration on wheels, a chrome-lined metaphor for the promise that tomorrow can outshine today. Elvis embodied that myth in rhinestones and radio waves. Buying a Cadillac for a stranger wasn't just a transaction, it was a living parable. The dream is real, and sometimes it chooses you. One more thing. Timing. It was her birthday week. He didn't just sign the bill of sale, he slipped her a check to buy clothes to match the car. That flourish matters. It reveals an artist's instinct for finishing a scene. He doesn't just open the door, he sets the stage for how you'll walk through it. So, why did he do it? Because he could, yes. Because it felt good, yes. But also because, in that instant, Elvis recognized a piece of his own story in a stranger's eyes. He saw the wanting, and he remembered the first time the world said yes back. If you're looking for the deepest answer, try this. Generosity was how Elvis kept his soul in a life that constantly threatened to scatter it. When he gave, he wasn't just shedding dollars. He was anchoring himself to the boy who once stared through windows and dreamed. Freeze the night one last time. Memphis heat, dealership glow, a golden white Eldorado idling like a promise. Mennie Person slides behind the wheel of a car that wasn't supposed to be hers. Somewhere off-frame, Elvis smiles the soft smile of a man who just made the world a fraction kinder. Then the frame unfreezes. The car pulls away. A life opens. What lingers isn't the odometer reading or the purchase price, about $1,150 in 1975, or even the check for the birthday week wardrobe that matched the paint. What lingers is the feeling that surprise can be benevolent, that fame can be generous, that a fleeting encounter can become a permanent story you carry like a lucky coin. The Madison Cadillac moment endures because it compresses Elvis's contradictions into a scene anyone can grasp. He was the planet's brightest star, and yet the tenderness of the act is almost domestic. No stage, no spotlight, just two people and a choice. The music made him immortal, the kindness makes him beloved. Zoom out to the legend, and the pattern sharpens. The pink Cadillac for Gladys, a son's gratitude. The keys handed to friends and staff over the years. A boss who understood that loyalty should move in both directions. The rumored plaque, the reported 14 cars in a day. Mythical numbers orbiting a core truth. Elvis bought joy and gave it away. Stories like this are why his memory feels less like a statue and more like a song, alive, passed along, reinterpreted by every person who tells it. They speak to a cultural hope bigger than celebrity gossip, that those with abundance might look up, look around and share, not out of obligation, but out of delight. Not to perform generosity, but to live it. And for many, picture the long echo. Errands feel different in a car that used to be a dream. Birthdays feel different when a global icon folds your week into his kindness. Even ordinary days get a shimmer. You park, you step out. The sun hits the chrome just right, and you remember that once the impossible happened in a parking lot. Maybe that's the real gift Elvis kept giving. A reminder that wonder still exists in public, that kindness can interrupt an errand, that a yes can arrive from an angle you never expected. In a world that teaches us to brace for bad surprises, he offered a good one again and again. So when people ask, why did he do it? You can answer with facts and quotes, with dates and models. You can say July 27, 1975, Madison Cadillac, Memphis. You can say Eldorado, gold and white, about 11.5 grand. You can quote Mennie, he caught me by the arm, pick one out. You can add, he told me to keep it, and he told me to give it to my husband or whatever we wanted to do. But after the facts, leave room for the part that numbers can't hold. He did it because generosity was his native language, because he knew how wanting feels, because it delighted him to turn longing into ignition. In the end, Elvis's music filled stadiums. His kindness filled stories. The songs play on the radio. The stories play in people's mouths and memories. Both are part of why he endures, not just as the king of rock and roll, but as a man whose crown included the quiet sparkle of giving. Now see the final image. The Eldorado rolling into the Memphis night, tail lights dissolving into fireflies, and a woman inside laughing the laughter of someone whose life just took the scenic route. Somewhere behind her, the king turns back to the lot, hands in his pockets, already scanning for the next person whose dream he might accelerate. And you realize, legends aren't only built on what we do on stage. Sometimes they're built on what we do in a parking lot when no one expects it, and we do it anyway. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep exploring the lives of icons like Elvis. Up next, we're diving into another untold story from music history. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.